Alright, here's a tutorial on how to draw chibi moe blobs. I've been wanting to do a tutorial like this for a while, so let's see how it goes. Obviously there's no right way to do this, but hopefully some of you out there will find it helpful. This is just how I like to go about it. And for this example, we're going to use a gray cap. So if you're already watching this, maybe you like drawing anime already, and you know, like, you have a style for it, but you don't know how to go chibi. You don't know how to go smaller than that. So this will be just a video of how to translate from here and how to get to here. That's a bad arrow. Anyways, moving on. Let's take this layer and bring it over here. And for demonstration purposes, I was trying to find a good picture of the racewear, but in the end, the best one I found was a scale figure, which honestly, I think that checks out. The figures, you have to go pretty detailed with them. So just to start off with chibis, you really want to make sure that you get that head ratio right. So typically the cheekbone will be a lot lower compared to, if you look at it here, the cheekbone is up here on a more quote-unquote realistic face, but with a chibi you want that to be a bit lower, especially to emphasize like the cuter features. Then with the eyes, you want the eyes to be quite big as well. So typically this will line up about halfway on the head. And if you ignore where the hair is, the top of the head would be about here. It's the same width on the face here, but on a more chibi face, that bottom lid will extend a lot lower. And you'll notice that as we go to, like, for instance, the nose and the mouth, you want to make sure you get that spacing right. A lot of people, or like what I've noticed, is tend to put the nose like really low, and then that makes it really awkward. And obviously this style works. It's more of a personal preference, but at least personally, having the nose higher up helps emphasize that sort of the cuteness of the style. And so that's what I'll do here. And I'll erase the bottom lid because this is supposed to be like the moe blob, right? And in this case, we can just go more simple with the top lids. And like, that's pretty quick and easy. Yeah, so if you'll notice here, it's the same idea. You can see it's about halfway, and then this is the next part with the hair. So especially with the hair, a lot of times people will draw the hair as being like clinging to the head because it's like hair is just flat strands, right? But in reality, the hair has a lot more volume than that. The hair layers and then gets bigger as it stacks on itself, and the volume of the hair is also what helps really create the appeal in like anime stuff. So with chibis you have to go even farther. Similar to how you make the eyes bigger, the hair should also go big. Compared to here on the chibi, you can go like this or even bigger if you wanted to. I'm sure if you've seen other chibi styles, sometimes they won't even draw the mouth, and the hair will be huge, the eyes will be huge, and that's something to keep in mind depending on how you want to take your chibi style. The figure, the hair is so complicated, so it's hard to simplify that, but like if you see like clips of the anime, then you know like how the general shape of her hair is. So let's bring that up actually. Here's this one as an example. And you can see that she has all these little small strands. That's going to be a lot harder to translate into a chibi, and especially because a chibi is already simplifying so many features of the face. Personally, I like to take all these strands here and just group them up into one or two smaller strands, as you see here, which means then when you get to other parts like these side, I'm not including those little small details. Just simplify where you can, and that will give you a better like overall silhouette. Oops, I drew on the wrong layer. Let's bring that back down. And with the back of the head, that's also another thing that can trip people up. Make sure you got enough volume back there. Even if the hair is tied up, like in her ponytail alt, the hair will still push out a bit against the back of the head. So you want to keep that in mind, especially if you want to draw like a ponytail there. But in this case, let's draw her with her hair down. And that will flare out even more. Oguri's hair also has these little flaps on the outside. And oh my goodness, I drew on the wrong layer again. Let's lock this one for the future reference. There we go. So yeah, you can see the hairline. The edge of the head was up here. Now let's get the rest of this in. And then get her ears in. With the ears, similar to the eyes, you want to emphasize those, so I'm going to make them bigger. On the other hand, I think you could also get by making them smaller. Another personal preference thing. That's not quite right though. Those look more like, I don't know, a fox or something. And they turn out a bit, so let's do that as well. There we go. That's better. Okay. Her little earpiece. And let's draw the rest of that in. So yeah, I think for now I'm just going to keep this video to just the head, but if you're interested and you want to see me like how I figure out the body or how I want to draw the body, let me know, and I think that could be a fun video. Yeah, I'll just wrap up the rest of this. And here we go. So that's the line art done, and then let's bring in the colors. Here. There we go. And then the hair. Oh, I drew her ears. Well, not her ears, her human ears. Even if it is like a character like this though, drawing the ears is really helpful as a reference point. If you're ever trying to draw a face, this goes for chibi or otherwise, the ears are one of the most important reference points for helping define the direction of the head. So for instance, since it's up down here, she's looking up, and if you drew it like this, it would indicate that she's pointing more like forward. But if the rest of the face doesn't, you know, identify that, then it can be a bit more difficult to, you know, make that illusion. So and the point is be careful with where you put the ears and make sure it aligns with how you're drawing the rest of the features. And it goes vice versa as well. Where you put the ears will also help define how the face looks. But that doesn't really apply here because she doesn't have those. But you know, if you're drawing a human character and you're not Uma obsessed, which isn't a bad thing either, but I'm sure that applies to some folks out there as well. Alright, I got pulled away for a bit, but I'm back to record the rest of the video. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up the rest of the colors. It's just going to be something simple. I could have just lasso tooled this, but sometimes I like making my life harder for myself, you know, and I'm sure we all understand that. And let's get her eye color in. There we go. And color in here. Get this in. And something I noticed after taking a short break just now is I noticed that I think I made the nose a bit too low, even though I just mentioned that. At least how I personally like doing it. Might be more like this. And that also means sometimes I have to bring up the jaw a bit if I feel like it's not working well enough. Similarly, I think I made the ear a bit too far out here, so let's go back and fix that up. This is just a really rough and simple piece, so I can just go in and paint over where I feel like I need some corrections. But I think this will also help make it feel a little less flat. And then on a chibi, the neck can probably be a bit smaller. I'm not really going further past this, but if I wanted to put in more work, I might edit some of the torso as well. But yeah, like there's a few other ways you could do this. You could just erase the nose from here since it can just serve as a reference point. And like this is, I'd say that's pretty cute already, pretty funny. And yeah, I mean, if you like this or if you want to see more, just let me know what sort of stuff you want to see, or if you had questions about what I'm doing here or if how I do other stuff that I draw, feel free to ask and I'll keep that in mind as something to draw in the future, because you know, it seems like fun to make drawing videos. It's been something I've been wanting to try for a while, so thank you for checking it out. Yeah.